We're live. We're hot. Should we close the door or we leave it open? You're important. I'll handle it.
And Derek, did you say you had a flash drive?
I do. There's
Before you hand it to us, just want you to know anything you turn into the board would stay with the board member.
Yeah.
If you need it
You
back,
mean the actual flash drive?
we can pull the info off of it and then give it back to you.
That'd be great. Yeah, I don't. There's something else that was on this, but I don't. I tried to open it and figure out what it was. There's two other approvals on the letters. Could be submitted. I didn't make copies of those, but that's the new other, which is just crazy.
When you get pulled up here to testify, I'll let you hand those out. I'll give this to Matt.
Okay, you got it.
And then,
Let's get this.
what is the name of the file or what he wants to pull?
It's variance meeting.
Okay.
It's all in one folder.
You are 4-3 today. If you're not voting, you're 4-2.
How does this go?
I'll call it to order and we'll bring you up once we get through a few things. So if you want to go have a seat, once you do that, I'll get us rolling. In the meantime, I'll welcome everybody to Myrtle Beach's Board of Zoning Appeals. Since we're ready to get started, I'll call it to order and then I'll move this gavel away from me because there's no reason I should ever be in charge of a gavel. Today is March 12th. Welcome everybody to the Myrtle Beach Board of Zoning Appeals. Before we get started, I'll read, as everybody heard earlier off of this little cheat sheet here, I'll read into the record the board's rules and procedures. Before I do that, I will call roll. If all board members, as usual, would please respond audibly. Mr. Dixon. Here. Mr. Durant.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. McKnight. Mr. Parker.
Here.
Mr. Patel.
Here.
Mr. Khan. Mr. Art.
Here.
And I'm Mr. Schwartz, present and accounted for as well. Thank everybody for responding to the roll. As we're getting started, I noticed that we possibly have, I'm assuming we have it, I think we do, last month's minutes in our packet. Has everybody had a chance to review that? Probably not last month. I don't think it's been
I just checked.
last January. Last meeting. Good. Well put there, Mr. Art. Do we have an approval for that? Has everybody had a chance to review it? Should we entertain a motion to hold it to the end of the meeting? What would the board like to do with?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Got a motion to approve by Mr. Parker, second by Mr. Art. All those in favor of approving those minutes? We got unanimous approval for the minutes, as Mr. Art pointed out, of January's meeting. Thank you, Mr. Art. Any old business before we move on to the board's procedure and rules? Mr. Rao. Thank you, Mr. Rao. For those members or for those individuals in the audience, both, if you're like me, it's hard to remember every bit of this, but I think it's beneficial to hear it over and over again. The BZA operates as a quasi-judicial body. If a completed permit application is not filed within 6 months from the date of the approval of a variance or special exception by the BZA, then such approval shall be null and void. Applicants may appeal a decision by the BZA to the circuit court, provided the appeal is filed with the clerk of court within 30 days after the decision of the board is mailed, or within the same time frame by filing a notice of appeal with the circuit court accompanied by a request for pre-litigation mediation. Decisions on matters before the board will be determined on the basis of a majority vote, which, as Mr. Rao pointed out today, would be 4-3. A variance may only be granted if all 4 of the following findings are made. A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And D, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Now, let's find our agenda for today. Here we go. Moving on to new business. Mr. Rao, as would you like to come forward and give us a brief overview?
Sure.
city for request 26-03. Look for that number there, sorry about that. And I'll certainly swear you in. Thank you for raising your right hand. Mr. Rowdy, you swear your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, please proceed.
Highlighted lot, 5711 Springs Avenue, zoned R10, looking for a front setback reduction. Derek, correct me if I'm wrong. You're just looking for a front setback reduction. I know the
Yeah,
line kind of exceeds the
yeah,
side yard.
The black square is actually where the garage would go.
Yeah, so this is kind of your side setback, but he's looking for a front setback reduction where code requires 40. I think it doesn't really pin out. You're probably around 20. So that would cut it in half. Any questions? Everybody on the same page on that one?
Is there a variance on the side too?
No, that's just the error in his pencil line.
Okay.
Yeah, he would just be looking for a front setback variance.
Okay.
Thank
Go
you,
back to the
Mr. Rowell. On behalf of the zoning administrator. Somebody I'm assuming is here on behalf of the applicant. Would you like to come forward, please, and present your case? If you would sign in. You're probably covering up.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
nope. Is there a sheet up there? Do we have a sign-in sheet?
How about signing sheet?
No,
We'll get it.
We'll get it.
okay.
While we're looking for the sign-in sheet, how about we'll jump to the swearing you in. If you could raise your right hand for us, state your name for the record.
Derek Edwards.
Mr. Edwards, you swear your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. We'll have you sign in while she's signing the sheet. If you want to go ahead and present, we'd be happy to hear from you, Mr. Edwards. Thank you for being here.
Okay, so judging by the application questions, we did have reasoning for a hardship if you could look at the map. Ideally, the garage is not it's not going to be utilized for just merely space and covering the actual vehicles. We have some other plans intended on the property, like as of right now, in this area is where our electric panel is outside, and we need it to be inside, but there's nowhere else on the property to put it other than the front, and that would be an eyesore to put it on the front of the house, I believe. We're trying to get it on the inside so it's not exposed to the elements. The same with our air handler, which is on the inside. We're trying to move it into the actual space to another spot there. There is a giant live oak tree that sits right here in the drip line, and we've already had an arborist come out there to look at it. This root system, we will stop, it's nearly 10 feet before this actual tree trunk starts. So it'll be going off the left here. When we bought the house in 2020, I worked with the city to get our pool approved in the back, and ideally we would have probably gone the route of putting the garage in the back. However, that tree could have come down. There's no easement on either side, not enough room for a car to go down on the side. So the most ideal place would be on the left. Initially, this was a garage prior to 1991, I would believe, and it has been transformed into a dining room, living room combo here in the front. It was actually listed as a 4th bedroom when we purchased that home. But realistically, this would create a side entrance on the garage to where it would give this more of an alcove of the entrance. The door has to be moved. When we did all the adjustments in 2021, for whatever reason, there was no plat survey or anything for our house prior to 1953. That was going through Conway, like Horry County, and for the city. I had to go out there and do my own measurements and everything to get the pool approved, but they did approve to go over over the house crane to put in the back. But again said, there's not any room in the back on the back of the lot to actually put the garage. So really, I mean, I guess the verbiage that I'm really looking for is I'm new to all this, so it's just like I don't know how to really create a hardship for that. The only way that I can prove that is that there's no way to get into the access to the back of the yard from either side. Because this side has all of our air handler, all the gas, and on this side, we could have bulldozed into this side, but it would have gone into their variance easement-wise. But judging by around a lot of the homes on the property, if you go down to the one lot, the 5721 actually allowed me back this way. This garage right here sits 16 feet off of the road. So, and then if you go down to this house, or it's this lot right here, which is, I believe is 400 Calhoun. It's on this corner. This sits less than 12 feet from the street there. And so, just judging by the sight lines and everything, I don't really feel like that it's gonna compromise moving into that setback, and we're not messing with this tree. Like, that's the whole point, is to protect that tree. So, and we've made some adjustments to the house to begin with in 2021. I feel like they've been modifications. Obviously, that's, you know, irrelevant to a degree. But in our neighbors' opinions, we've gotten 20-some letters back that agree that maybe it would enhance the actual property. So I do feel like every move that we make there is actually really good for the community. So, I mean, just as far as the neighborhood to just set it up, but if anybody is worried about the sizing of anything, we're all one level street. 5720 just bulldozed a house there, and now it's a megaplex going on that street. If anything, I think that one would be the one that's gonna compromise the sight lines, to be honest. But, I guess I really don't know what else to say other than just,
Do you have any information you'd like to share with the board, photos, letters?
Derek, before you get to that, why don't you read A, B, C, and D of your packet?
Yeah.
If you have your packet, you don't have to use mine, but that's one of the things we typically request,
Yeah.
that we hear.
there are extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property as follows. The hardship is due to unique physical conditions of the existing lot shape and topography within the setback. The irregular shape of the lot prevents adding a new structure to the back of the lot. We do have like more of a triangular shape, it appears. I mean, as you look at it, it is more triangular, obviously narrows in the back of the lot. This back here is unusable, but there's a 30-foot space on the back of our lot that's in between, and it goes all the way down this whole property line. So I'm not sure if that was an existing road at one point, but we pushed everything back in the event that we would have room for a garage to come around this way, but then when we looked at the actual easement on the side, there's not enough room. Because we would have gone to the right and then back to put the garage in the back of the home, but the only solution for it would be to the side there. So I feel like that would be our hardship as far as having nowhere else to put it. But these conditions do not apply to other property in the vicinity shows by. There is a large live oak. There's one over here. There's quite a few on our street, so we're trying to protect that asset to begin with. But it wouldn't showcase the view of the new structure. So this right here is just, the tree's gonna hide it, essentially. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit and unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property as follows. The existing home placement leaves no other compliant location on the lot. The authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting the variance in the following reasons. Granting this variance will not negatively impact neighboring properties, as demonstrated by similar garages nearby and neighbor approvals. And this neighbor here, the house is about to go for sale. She just listed it with her, or about to list it with her real estate agent. She got approval from her real estate agent that doesn't believe there will be any kind of compromise to her lot to begin with. And if anything, she thinks that it will be valuable for them to possibly add a garage to theirs. However, that will be her responsibility, not ours. But as far as going before the tree line, that's the only thing she was concerned with, and we measured it, and it comes, again, 10 feet before that actual tree even starts. And then the following documents are submitted in support with this application: survey, rendering, site photos. If you look at the house in the beginning, this is where when we purchased the house in 2020, We removed a window, moved this door back over here, made more of an entrance to the actual house. And then this is the existing. And then this is the proposed structure. Side entrance to the garage, transom windows at the top. The minimum that we could go is 18 feet towards the front of the house, just so it doesn't, we're not compromising that entrance to this part of the home, that existing structure. And then I have other letters that are included in your packet, and I have the two here. I do have photos as far as the letter that I have from the neighboring. It's the same letter, it's just the approval from the next door neighbor.
What's that address?
5709, or 5709. Her name is Pat Myrtle. She's at 5709 Springs Avenue. Pat B. Myrtle. There's Poinsett Road also, and it looks to me as if the pictures that I have, if you pan back, which is typically the same neighborhood, the Hampton Circle, most of the homes existing on there are way far into a 40-foot setback. Yeah, it's like all of these right here, majority of those seem like pretty close up to the road. This one garage here is actually very close to the road too, so as far as going into setbacks, I'm really just kind of unclear about like how that was determined to begin with. I'm not a zoning guy, so I'm not really sure how to approach the hardship, I suppose.
I think the zoning administrator asked if you had any additional materials. One of the things that you mentioned was the letter on your phone from Pat Merrill. Were you able to email that?
I can email it to you, right, Charles, right now?
Send it to M. Brooks, same as me, but it'd be M. Brooks.
And if there are any other pictures or anything else you want us to consider beyond what's in the packet, it may.
Yeah, I had it all in that flash drive, and for whatever reason, it wasn't compatible with it. M. Brooks at
cityofmyrtlebeach.com.
And while you're sending that email, Mr. Edwards, is there anything else you'd like to present?
I have photos of the existing properties around there. We haven't even bothered to get, well, we do have a rendering. It hasn't been engineered, signed off on yet. This is the rendering that we created, but we don't have a legitimate drawing of it yet because we weren't going to waste the time or the energy or the money on it if this wasn't going to get approved. So, but we do have, we're ready to actually respond to that. We do have a drawing drawn, it's just not engineer approved yet. So that would be part of the packet that would go in for the actual, the license or the permit application.
Anything else, Mr. Edwards?
That's it, I believe. And then I can send you these other pictures too, if you'd like.
If that's it, if you do that, we'll hear from the zoning administrator on the city's position.
Okay.
And you can use my pen. Sign
Yeah,
here.
there's one that's coming up to this.
Yeah, just use mine, sorry.
We got the letters pulled up.
All right.
Pulled the ones-
Does everybody have a chance to see that? Looks like an approval letter from Patricia B. Merrill,
Yes.
resident of 5709 Springs Avenue. Is that what that is, Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
I'll take that one, I'm sorry.
And then there's one here from
Once you put that stuff on.
the neighbors to the right. These were not submitted before us. They're the ones in email. This is Aaron Boyce and Bill Owens. They're in the house on 5713. And then Casey and Lee Vaders, they're located on 402 Poinsett.
And if you want us to review those, I would note that the board will keep
You
these.
can keep those. Sorry, I took pictures of those.
If you want to get your copies at the end.
Yeah. And I can send you these other, you would rather those photos go to him and Brooks?
Yeah, well, I don't have access to the computer here, so if you want them, we can throw them up on the screen.
Did you yeah, he received that. All right. I have to do it in threes, I believe.
And Jay, why don't we let the zoning administrator testify, and we'll review the photos afterwards, so it would be efficient.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I
Mr.
can
Ray. If
sit
you're
down.
done,
That's my motion.
and if you wouldn't mind, just have a seat right there, because we may have some questions for you.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else you intend to present.
No, I don't have any.
Charles, thank you for coming forward. Mr. Rowley, we'd like to hear from you on behalf of the city, if you don't mind, you're still under oath.
Duly sworn. Just to kind of, before we get into my questions, Matt, if you pull up the 5721 corner lot on Springs and the Calhoun lot, we can start with this one first. Just for clarity, he's pointing out the encroachment, what we'll call, kind of seeing the road frontage. This is a side street setback per our code. As it would exist now, you'd be half of the front. So you would see from the road a structure encroach into that. And then if you slide back to the other corner lot, which is 5721, which is up at the highway, same situation, we're looking at a corner lot. Back to the property of request. There are not extraordinary or exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property based on the following findings of fact. The subject parcel is zoned R10 and meets or exceeds the minimum lot standards established by the zoning code. The area associated with the request is also located within the drip line of the live oak tree, which is subject to the city's tree protection and preservation requirements under the zoning regulation. Per code, if this were to pass, current code lays out that you can't encroach into the critical root zone of the landmark tree. So that would be another level of review that may have to come back before the board of this request. We do have a built-in code in our zoning code that allows you to float a setback up to 4 feet, but no greater than 20%, to push designs away from a tree. So in this case, the request is actually pursuing a front setback, also encroaching into a critical root zone of the tree. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity based on the following findings of fact. Other parcels in the area conform to the standards established in the applicable zoning code. The neighborhood is well established and maintains general uniform development standards. Reduced setbacks are not common in the area given the prevailing parcel size. As you can see, this is a repeat parcel throughout the neighborhood. On the back side, as stated by the applicant, there is typically an easement on these aged properties, which was, in the day, was a utility easement. Some of those utility easements are still utilized by Sandy Cooper. The city at one point used to have the water in the front, the sewer in the back. We found out that was a horrible idea. But again, those easements, in some cases, have not been lifted due to the fact there's still a utility service in the rear. But that layout is common on that street throughout the neighborhood. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would not effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property based on the following findings of fact. Subject property can be designed to comply with applicable zoning codes and regulations. As an alternative, the project could redesign to expand vertically, which would allow the proposal to accomplish compliance. As stated, prior history of the property, that was a garage. That area could be expanded. The building could go up vertically if that was a design choice. Per code, you can go up to 35 feet height. True, it is a one-story, but code does allow you to elevate the property. violation of the variance will be substantially detriment to the adjacent properties or the public good, and the character of the district will be harmed by granting of the variance based on the following findings of fact. The proposed addition does not comply with the zoning code requirements, and the applicant has not demonstrated a practical difficulty or hardship to justify the deviation. Granting of the variance will be inconsistent with the intent of the ordinance. It is staff's opinion the request does not meet the criteria of the necessary granting of the variance. Cited below is the section of the code where we do have that float for a setback reduction in one direction. Any questions for me?
We will definitely have some questions for you, Charles. We have a seat. Mr. Rao, thank you very much. Mr. Edwards, would you like to reply to anything the zoning administrator said? We're going to get to some questions and discussion amongst the board, so surely we'll have some questions for everybody who presented testimony.
I don't really, I mean, I've reviewed his questions before, so I mean, it was basically just the response to my proposal that they were incorrect. So.
Do you have any rebuttal for that?
I guess I'm just not confused, but I just don't understand what kind of hardship other would be suitable for that. I guess the clarification of that setback would be my question.
Well, we may have some questions for you that might help clarify momentarily. Anybody from the public here to speak on this matter? Come forward, state your name and be sworn, please. There is that pin right there. If that one doesn't work, I'll be happy to give you mine. Sir, if you would state your name for the record.
My name is John Glazier, G-L-A-S-Z-E-R. I'm a neighbor across the street from.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Glazier. If you would sign in, and then when you're done, I'll have you raise your right hand. I'll swear you in, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Mr. Glazier, if you'd raise your right hand, you swear your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but? Please proceed.
I oppose this. I've lived on Springs Avenue since 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. And from our vantage point, it's across the street, but I think the structure itself will be something different. There's no building that's on Springs, either 217 or going the other way, that gets that close to the street. I'm concerned about the oak tree. I had a neighbor that had a storage shed, and he had to move it because the storage shed was under his, the brick line, as you called it. And there was, he had room in his backyard to do that. But I know everybody likes the oak trees. If you put concrete in there for a driveway or whatever, will it stop letting water penetrate the earth? For that oak tree, is it just going to make the oak tree die later on? One of my concerns. Again, I'm concerned about property values. Seeing if this would be the first one, somebody might come down here 5 months from now, 10 years from now, or whatever, and want to do the same thing to their property. Because there is no other, I don't know if it was brought before this board before, to do this someplace else on Springs or whatever, but I just think it's not conforming to the rest of the neighborhood. As far as, there is a curve on the street. I tried to see if that building was, I had a different view of the way the building was going to be constructed, or it would cut if somebody was coming around the turn at 30 miles an hour, which the speed limit is, and the other guy was doing 30, would there be enough sight line to avoid an accident? Just a thought out there, bring before it's something you guys would have to evaluate, but it wasn't brought up in the meeting here about the curve of the street. And here's about it. Like I said, it's more or less, there was no test of this, and I know I just had a garage built, and I didn't have to have a variance for it because I got it in the backyard. But when I first started, I went through and they said, well, instead of doing this to the side of the house where my carport was at, I was advised not to even come here because it probably wouldn't be approved. They said, build just my view. You guys have to judge if it's any important or not. One of the things, I don't live there, but I noticed the house across the street from me, 5709, was just bought recently. It has two elderly women that live there. This is the first I heard that they're trying to sell it. They don't really have any real activities going on. I don't know if that would compromise their property value by having that jut out, because if they walked out their door and turned to the left, they would just see the back of the garage and not see the street or the roadway. Again, just personal opinions, you guys do what you think. I know you have to invest, for the city and stuff, so. Nothing against the people that live there, no, we live comfortably and everything. I used to call them Martians, because when they first moved in, it was so hot out, they did all their yard work with little lamps on their helmets. And you used to see them going around and stuff. It's up, and what is that? And then I finally figured it out and met them and stuff, so no grudges and stuff. I did send, or I did give them one of my letters saying that we were just not, thought it would be what was the word, aesthetically pleasing to the neighborhood. And I didn't see, I don't know if that's in his packet or not, but we did drop up something at her door. So I thank you for giving me this time, and hope you make the right decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Glazer. Anybody else here wishes to speak on behalf of this matter?
I'm just his daughter. Thank you.
All right. Hearing none, no additional members of the public at least, we will go to questions by the board members for those individuals who gave testimony. I guess we'll start with you, Mr. Lee. Since you gave me that quizzical look there, you look to have a question.
Well,
And if we can, since we kind of have some, we've had the one member of the public speak, we have the applicant and the zoning administrator, let's try to direct the question. Who's it to?
well,
That goes for everybody who has questions,
the,
not just Mr. Lee.
would be for the, I'm sorry, I didn't get his name, the gentleman.
Mr. Edwards, Derek Edwards. I think I got that right. Is that right?
Can he show me on the map where his property is? Or,
5711.
okay, that's the property in question, right?
You're talking about Mr. Glazer.
I'm talking about the
Yes,
gentleman
public.
just spoke.
What's your address, Mr.?
5710 across the street,
So we're looking at,
right across from 5709.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, I just wanted to get the, okay, I don't have any other questions at this time. I just wanted to see where his property was in relationship to the request applicant. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Dixon.
I have a question from the zoning administrator. You said they couldn't raise it.
they can.
You can raise
Yeah,
it?
you can, the max height in this, in the Rs are 35 feet, so
Okay.
you can go up.
So, okay, now I have a question for Mr. Edwards. On the, this thing here. Could you put that up?
Can you put the survey up?
Where's the tree?
You want me or Mr. Edwards to do it?
Mr. Edwards,
To Mr. Edwards.
Come on up, Mr. Edwards.
it's his drawing.
The base of the tree, the actual trunk, starts about, it's 12 feet from where the garage will end. And then so the tree kind of sits like right here in the middle.
And the garage is supposed to be a 19 by 30.
19 by 30, yes, sir.
Could you tell me on that?
This existing,
Put that back up there where I am.
this
The survey?
existing is 10.4 feet,
Okay, where's the front door?
or 10.9. the front door is right here materially. It will we've already moved it once, but when we first bought the house, we weren't aware of any fire that was not reported. Because when we changed to move the door, it was headered 4 times. The house is 1953, so that's understandable that it would have different doorways moved. But we existing put the door here, so it's more centered to the patio. We will have to move it back over, but when we built, or actually put the new addition on the front with the door, I had a header all the way across the front of the house. So there's a giant beam that goes across here, so wherever we go, it won't compromise where the header's at. So we did that for the reasoning that we may switch the door at some point. Because we were thinking about adding an addition on to this, to make this little alcove here, to give a master bedroom here, but it just makes more sense to do a garage there as far as we're concerned. But we'll move the door back over here, so it will create more like a little alcove in the interior of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions, Mr. Dixon?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you for directing your questions to the individuals. I think that helps keep everything clean for the record. Mr. Art, start down there with you on this side.
Okay, I guess a couple of questions. Mr. Rao, I noticed on the plan or on the plat here, it shows that the existing structure already encroaches on the side setbacks on both sides.
Correct.
Was there already a variance for that, or?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so
I mean,
maybe it was built before the setback?
Yeah, I do not have a record of the history of this
Okay.
property.
And then, to the applicant, you mentioned that you had talked to someone about the tree and that the proposed garage would not encroach on the root system of the tree?
So we had an arborist. We have his phone number. We don't know his last name. We just know it's Jay. But he is an arborist. We know he was affiliated with the city before. We had a branch fall off of that tree, and we had a giant cherry tree used to sit in front of it, or a holly tree rather. Well, the oak tree next to our house, when a storm, like I forget what storm it was, but it came and it knocked a giant branch off, so they ended up having to take the tree down, the cherry tree. We got approved to do that through the city, through Jay. So that was in 2022, I want to say.
Okay. But you have not had the arborist check or
No,
study
when
the
we
tree
had
to
that
determine-
happen, he said our root system, what he could best judge is that our root system was way further back, like way further up towards it. He's like, this type of trees, like you don't, because what we were worried about when he did the stump grinder is messing with the root system from the oak tree. Because when he took the cherry tree down, or the holly tree down, we were worried about him, like the holly tree getting up under our house, the foundation, everything like that, because allegedly holly tree roots go further out than live oaks. Apparently live oaks go down. I'm not an arborist, so I don't know otherwise.
But the holly tree still exists?
The holly tree is gone.
It's the one, oh,
Yeah,
it's gone?
that was the one that was the encroachment under it was on there in the, yeah, that's it right
I was
there.
gonna say, is it the one in the photo?
Yeah.
That's gone.
Okay, so that's gone already. Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have for now.
Thank you, Mr. Art. Mr. Patel, questions?
No, he's covered.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Mr. Durant?
To the zoning administrator. So, when considering this application, is the presence of that oak tree relevant for anything other than the fact that we could just encroach on its root system? Is the presence of the oak tree sitting in the front yard relevant as far as whether or not it's burdensome to build this particular outbuilding on the property? Like, does the oak tree make a difference?
Yeah. I mean, you're looking to impose on in my opinion, you're imposing on the critical root zone of that tree. Typically, from all my studies, of trees, your root zone is typically 1.5 to 2 times the canopy size. So Matt, if you would go to the aerial of the property, so the root zone of that tree typically would extend out 1.5 to 2 times of what the overall canopy of that tree is. You can pull it in and you can typically encroach into about 25% of a tree's canopy's root zone without affecting it. So that being said, could we finagle or work within a tree? We have throughout the city, but to clearly understand the true size of that tree above and below ground, you look at it in that capacity. Now, yes, the city does allow you, and we've commonly done, we allow you to encroach about 25% into that root zone and or canopy to justify. So yes, that's part of it, along with the request of a heavy request of a front setback reduction, which is typical.
Thank you. No further questions from me.
Thank you, Mr. Durant. Mr. Parker?
All right, two quick questions from the administrator. One is, this is one of the first we've encountered with nonconformity, significant nonconformity. Existing, right. Do we typically want to try to address those with a application to resolve the nonconformity? In the past, I haven't seen us do
Looking
that.
at the survey on this one, if you were to do that, you're
I mean, it's both side setbacks.
I mean, this request, at that point, he's gonna have to rip out walls
Right,
and
right.
redo roof lines.
Right.
Which,
Okay.
in all my experience with the city, has never been the direction of BZA to that
Right,
regard.
okay. And that leads
And our
me,
code talks about nonconformity, so as long as that nonconformity exists and it's in operation,
Yep.
it is allowed to remain. Even if it were to be destroyed, we allow it to be rebuilt as long as it's done within a certain time frame.
grandfathered, right. And it leads me to my second question. If they were to do something within the footprint of their existing structure, it would not require, so if they went up
Okay.
to the second level, would they have to get a setback variance for that second story?
No. A common experience that we do with people that may have a nonconformity on their property is we allow them to expand it, but it cannot expand all the way out. They have to stay within the bounds of the
Of
setback,
the nonconformity
So-
or the setback?
the setbacks.
Okay.
So whatever the setbacks currently are for that property, they can expand, but they need to expand within the setback lines.
Okay.
Sometimes they work with us and they pull it in, but like a case like this, if he wanted to have a second level, he could, but it needs to be within the setback line. So it'd be what we call wedding cake.
So in a practical sense, if he actually wanted to stay within the setbacks to build a garage, he would need to convert the existing first floor that exists within the setbacks and then build the second story within, I guess, removed from the exterior walls, which are outside of the setback. And so we kind of have a stacked second floor. Okay. Just for clarity, that's all I wanted to know, how complicated that would be. I guess one question for Derek. Have you guys looked at converting the old dining room back to a garage and doing something else like that?
At that point, we'd be looking for a new home.
Right, okay. Thank you. All right, that covers my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. I have a question for the zoning administrator. I think I understood, since Mr. Parker was talking about moving up, was it 30 feet or 35 feet?
35.
35,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
And I, just for individuals like me who may not be as savvy as the remaining people in the room, when you say wedding cake, you're talking about stacking the levels of the home that aren't as wide as each other, so you have to be inside the setback where, yeah. Maybe show that to the other board members so they can see what visual image was in my head for a wedding cake. So it'd be significantly difficult to do that. Is that your understanding, Mr. Parker, the way you're sort of?
It's not significantly difficult, but for the use they're talking about, it just makes for a kind of chopped up plan.
Not ideal.
Not ideal, it's not.
Because you typically would have interior framing to support the top loads.
I mean, for me, a person who has difficulty hammering nails, I would say difficult. But I thank you for the clarification, Mr. Parker. So back to my questions for Mr. Rao. It seems that we're discussing some of this issue with the idea that the roots of this tree matter, and we don't necessarily have anybody here that can tell us what exactly they are. Is that fair? Do we know for certain that the roots of this tree are a problem, or are we just kind of guessing at it?
I think that would be where you can have an outside arborist come in and provide his opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think you want the city to enter someone's property, stake out
Well,
claim on it, nor if the homeowner isn't experienced in it. I think an outside opinion would be suited. But, I mean, just general understanding of root systems of the tree, and you can read this on anything, is you typically expand the canopy of the tree 1 to 2.5 times what they have.
Sure.
That's general knowledge.
I know I've heard a lot about the oak trees that are in my yard, about how far their roots may extend or may not extend, but if I were basing a decision on the existence or non-existence of a root system, I would probably want somebody who is an expert in trees. I think the term we've used is arborist.
Yes.
To have told me what they were actually before I was just guessing about it. Is that fair? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. In light of the questions that we've heard here at the end, does anybody else have questions? We'll go around the room one more time. I see your hand up. Go right ahead. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Please go right ahead.
Clarification, for administrator. And what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding is that they would have to gut or change the living quarters as it is now and use that area for the garage and then go up on top of the garage to establish new living areas? Is that what we're saying?
If they still wanted to, keep in mind here, a garage is not a requirement of a home. Many homes have carports. At the end of the day, it's a preference. To me, looking at what is before you today is additional square footage to a property, whether it's a garage, living area, so on and so forth. So in my review and analysis, I'm basing it off of one, is this common? No. The board nor has the city in this area had a common request where a variance has been more than, we'll say, 20%, and this is exceeding half. 2, you also have a landmark tree where you're diving into a root zone, which would be additional concerns of the city where we'd have to evaluate that.
Additional sum of money. Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Lee?
No,
Thank you for that
I'm good.
point of
Thank you.
clarification.
Thank
We'll
you.
go around the room one more time. Mr. Dixon, questions in light of what we just
I'll wait
heard?
for a,
Discussion? That's fair. Mr. Art, any additional questions?
I do have one more question.
Go right ahead.
For the applicant. Have you considered, I'm assuming this is a 2-car garage, considering it's a 30-foot wide. Have you considered dropping back to 1 car and cutting that distance in half, essentially?
That's possible. The only problem with that is the entrance into the garage will be compromised. I mean, it could be 24 to do 1-car garage, which would, I mean, it's not out of the question. However, it's just the entrance, when you side into it, you'd be coming really close to the existing part of the house to like get into the garage.
Right. The turn radius.
And doing it the other way, I feel like would compromise going, like if you pulled in to it, like if we did go up, which that's not gonna happen, but if we went up with the garage and then did a second floor, then it would, I feel like it would be more of a compromise to get into the garage that way than it would just be to go to the side.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Art. Mr. Patel?
I guess I'm gonna ask the applicant, sort of off of Blake's question about maybe did you consider downsizing that garage? And I think you said you did, and it wasn't functional, correct? All right, now, do you have a driveway? Is this the only driveway? The one?
Yeah, there's, the concrete's gonna have to, it'll kind of go around this way. We have to get it added to it.
So, because you said that it would not be functional, if basically turned this door here and you added driveway into it, would it not be functional that way? Do-
Yeah, but the length of it, if it's 16 feet, this will exceed going this way. And I feel like the side entrance was proposed just because of the actual tree being there, because there's no way to get it, like, if you went this, it'd be
Okay.
just a weird entrance.
Alright, that's fine. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Mr. Durant?
None.
Mr. Parker?
I'm done.
Before we close public discussion, and at the risk of having to go around the room one more time with questions, we do have the email from Mr. Edwards with his pictures. We might as well take a look at those so that anyone who does have questions will have one more opportunity to follow the wonderful Robert's Rules of Order and give everybody another chance for questions. You guys all love hearing that. Doesn't look like it was a lot of pictures. We're running through them one more time, just one more time, so we all make
Each
sure.
email just has 3 in it.
Oh, okay, all right.
I sent more, I thought.
How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 emails.
Is that what you sent, Derek? I got 4.
4 emails or 4 photos?
4 emails.
Yeah, it should be 4 emails.
Well,
There's
12
3
pictures.
photos in each one, yeah. Should be.
Would you describe in your mind what the pictures show generally, so we know what we're looking at? Just other properties in the
This
vicinity?
guy's garage
You
is,
don't have to tell us each one. Give me
Yeah.
the all other properties in the vicinity which show things similar to what you believe you're here requesting.
yeah, and then some of them are just eyesore options. This one's close to the road. That's a new addition. That's not a corner lot either. That's kind of close to it though.
So it may be beneficial to know, and I'll go ahead and take the reins on this one, I guess, that typically we don't decide, each individual decision rises and falls on its own merit, right? There may be other issues which you think, kind of mirror your situation, but we don't, it's not something that we can say, oh, well, we've done it this before here, so we gotta do it now. We have to look at each case on its own individual merit. So, but while I do appreciate the other images, I think it's helpful to get we've all ridden by the property, I would assume, and taken a look at the, most of us are probably familiar with the area in general as people who live and work in Myrtle Beach, but, it's the pictures are relevant to kind of
Right.
see the vicinity in which, it's helpful to have it in mind right now while we're making this decision. In light of the photographs, anybody have a question that we need to go back around the room for, either for the applicant, the zoning administrator, or the kind gentleman who appeared from the public to speak on behalf of this matter? Mr. Glazier, did I say that right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Anybody want to ask a question? Raise your hand. Hearing no questions, we will close out public discussion and go to discussion amongst the board members on this matter. And we'll go, I think, in the same order, just to keep things consistent today. Seems like today's a good day for some consistency. Let's start with Mr. Lee.
I don't, excuse me, I don't really have anything. It's a little complicated, but, I don't have anything. I'm listening to the board here.
Mr. Lee, thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Dixon?
Yes, I used to live in the neighborhood, right behind that. I remodeled my home 3 times, and I stayed within the ordinance. And all those that they showed that are not in compliance must have been done before the ordinance was in place, because we haven't had, I've been here 15 years, we haven't had a request like this, wanting a 30-foot variance for a hardship, which I don't see a hardship. It can be remodeled, it can be changed, it can be fixed within the ordinance without any change, and it just doesn't make any sense to grant a variance of that amount. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon, as well. Mr. Art, discussion for the board.
I looked at the other properties up and down the street, generally speaking, they all conform to that 40-foot setback, with the exception of those double frontage lots.
Corner lots?
Corner lots, yeah, thank you. So this would be the only structure that I've seen on that street that would actually come out 20 feet beyond that front setback, which to me is excessive. I recognize the difficulty that going a different route would bring, but I also have concerns about the tree in the front. I know once you get into those root systems, it's, hit or miss how it's gonna impact the tree. And I would have felt more comfortable having an actual, report from an arborist saying that it wouldn't impact the tree. But even then, it's a pretty significant, setback request. I would certainly be more willing to consider a reduction in size of that. But generally speaking, I just don't think it's in line with everything else in the neighborhood. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Art. Mr. Patel?
I agree with everything that Blake said. Basically, I do want to point out there is a lot of complexities in terms of the nonconformity. I see several sides, north, south side, and I do want to note that the stuff that's in the very back of the lot, was that done through here? Is that a structure that's vertical?
It's a shed. It was existing. We moved it to the back of the property.
So anyways, because of the non-conformity issues of the site and the request being so significant of a variance into the setback line, I find it very challenging to move forward with that.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Mr. Durant, discussion for the board.
I just don't see the hardship. This is I think this is a big ask, and without like accompanying hardship, I don't see how we can approve the request.
Thank you, Mr. Durant. Mr. Parker, what you got for us?
I guess I will jump on board with these three guys. An articulable hardship is hard to come forward here. It is unfortunate they don't have a garage. They do have some, extraordinary neighbor support. However, we do have one against us here with us today. Their neighbors are very complimentary in their improvements and what they've done to the house as it exists. But with consideration of this house existing in the future with an extraordinary variance, it just is not easy for me to recommend. The rest of the homes in this neighborhood on this street generally sit 40-foot setback. And as far as I can tell, it would be quite a difference. Once they're gone, it exists forever. We've approved it, and unfortunately, that lends itself to other people making the same request, which we generally don't grant. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. And what may be, just to add, I think, my thoughts from the chairman's perspective, and what's a truly unusual turn of events, we seem to have consensus amongst the board. Although not everyone said it the same way, it seems like you guys are all saying the same thing. This is a complex matter. I think we've had good discussion today. I'm certainly as sympathetic to the homeowner, the applicant, I should say it that way, I suppose, as I've been on any matter. I think Mr. Parker said it. It's unfortunate they don't have a garage. I don't have a garage. I'd like to have a garage. I'm not sure I'd encounter the same issues. that's not relevant, but I do understand the request. In a lot of ways, I wish we had the report of an arborist here, because I think a lot of what we're talking about is this issue with the root system, and I don't know that it is as big of an issue as we're making it out to be. It may very well be. I'm no arborist, so I can't say. One of the things that I'm fortunate to rely on in my business is when we have a problem like that, we outsource it. We find somebody who can tell us what the issue is, and then we all sit around and figure out what it is they're trying to say. Unfortunately, we don't have that. I don't know that that would be dispositive one way or another, because as many of you have also said, it's an extraordinary amount of variance requests anyway. So it may be the case that they would have spent the money to get a report, and the board would be disinclined to grant the request at that stage. I think one thing that comes to mind that nobody seems to have touched on is, we do have a lot of issues in some of these older neighborhoods with these landmark trees. And at some point when people decide whether or not to purchase a home, that's a factor they're going to have to consider. Expansion, growth, development, whatever the word you want to use is, these landmark trees seem to be something worthy of consideration, right? While we all acknowledge we want to preserve the trees, we've got lovely neighborhoods in this city that have preserved trees, which everybody, I think, seems to agree is valuable. And we can compare that to the neighborhoods that we are all familiar with where there are no trees, which I think no one would agree is preferred. There's a balance, and I don't know what that balance is, but nobody wants to listen to me ramble anymore, so I will certainly entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we deny the request.
Got a motion to deny by Mr. Dixon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lee. Let's get hands in the air for everybody in support of that motion. Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Just let everybody know that the house will be up for sale tomorrow. So thank you so much for your time.
So,
Wonder what he went for.
I will say.
we're still on the record. Thank you for your time here today, Mr. Glazer. We got one communication from staff, the election of officers. I'm unfamiliar with that procedure. There's a procedure for that, right?
Yeah.
I nominate,
I'll make a motion, we keep the officers we have now and,
That
do
same
it by
position,
acclamation.
same positions or
Yeah,
Let's hold on. What are the officers we have now?
current
You.
officers or you?
We have 2 officers.
Yes.
So we have a motion that the officers remain the same. Are you mutinying, or we have a mutiny on this, or no?
I mean, we'll be throwing the grenade down
I guess
the
not.
table.
Okay, fine. Motion by Mr. Durant to keep the same officers. Is that what that was? Do we have a second for that motion?
Second,
Seconded by Mr. Lee. We need to vote.
by acclamation, I'll move.
Fine.
Do I have to vote? I guess I don't have to
I
vote.
guess.
Motion carries. All right. There you have it.
Congratulations.
Am I red? Am I red? I feel like I'm red.
I'm so happy for you.
No mutiny. You weren't willing to jump ship? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm so happy for you.
First time I've ever seen it. Are we out of session?
No, we're still in session. Now that, I assume, as a result of reading this agenda very carefully, is the only communication from staff and board. Is that correct, Mr. Ralph? Do we have any non-agenda items from board members to staff?
No.
We have no reason to go into executive session. I will entertain another motion if anybody has.
to adjourn.
Make a motion to
A
adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Mr. Durant. Can you click on those motions? Mr. Lee's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries.